Congratulations. You're smart enough to see through the illusions that keep everyone else blissfully ignorant. Here's your reward, a lifetime subscription to existential dread. Ever wonder why the dumbest people seem the happiest? It's not a bug, it's a feature. While they're enjoying their simple pleasures and unshakable optimism, you're over here calculating the statistical probability of everything going wrong. Intelligence isn't a gift. It's a curse disguised as a superpower. And today, we're talking about why being smart is the fastest route to being miserable. Welcome to the philosophy of intelligent suffering, the curse of seeing clearly. Here's what they don't tell you about intelligence. It's essentially a pessimism generator with a college degree. While everyone else lives in comfortable delusions, your brain insists on showing you the reality behind the curtain. And reality, as it turns out, is pretty depressing. Schopenhauer figured this out in the 1800s. He basically invented depression as an art form, arguing that life is suffering and the only escape is to stop wanting things. Cheerful guy. But he had a point. The more you understand about existence, the less appealing it becomes. Think about it. Happy people don't spend their nights wondering about the heat death of the universe. They don't lie awake calculating how many of their relationships are built on mutual self-deception. They don't see a beautiful sunset and immediately think about entropy. But you do. Because your brain won't let you enjoy anything without first explaining why it's temporary, meaningless, or built on a foundation of lies. Your intelligence is like having a really depressing tour guide living in your head, constantly pointing out everything that's wrong with the world. Oh, you're enjoying this moment? Let me tell you why it won't last. And here's the really twisted part. Society celebrates this. They call it being realistic or thinking critically. But what they're really celebrating is your ability to be professionally miserable. You watch people enjoy simple pleasures, a good meal, a funny movie, small talk with strangers, and you feel like an alien studying human behavior. They're not pretending to be happy. They actually are happy. Meanwhile, your brain is running a constant background program calculating all the ways this moment could go wrong. It's like being the designated driver for humanity's emotional journey. You stay sober and alert while everyone else gets to enjoy the ride. The responsibility is crushing, and the view is depressing. The overthinking trap. Smart people don't just think. They think about thinking. Then they think about why they're thinking about thinking. It's like intellectual Russian nesting dolls, except each layer makes you more miserable. Nietzsche called this the eternal return, the idea that you're trapped in cycles of thought that lead nowhere. He wasn't talking about reincarnation. He was talking about 3 a.m., when your brain decides to replay every embarrassing thing you've ever done, then analyze why you're replaying it, then criticize yourself for analyzing it. Here's the cruel irony. Intelligence gives you the ability to solve complex problems, except the one problem you can't solve is your own mind. It's like being a master locksmith who's locked himself out of his own house. You can understand quantum physics, but you can't understand why you feel empty after achieving everything you thought you wanted. You can analyze human behavior with surgical precision, but you can't figure out why you sabotage your own happiness. Marcus Aurelius, literally the most powerful man in the world, spent his free time writing about how difficult it was to find meaning. Even with infinite resources and power, his intelligent mind kept him up at night, wondering what the point of it all was. The guy could literally conquer nations, but he couldn't conquer his own existential anxiety. And here's where it gets really absurd. You know that overthinking is the problem. You can read about it, understand the psychological mechanisms, even explain to other people why they shouldn't overthink. But knowing doesn't stop it. It's like having a smoke detector that won't stop beeping even when there's no fire. Your brain keeps sounding alarms for problems that either don't exist or can't be solved by thinking about them more. That's the smart person's paradox. The same mind that makes you capable of greatness also makes you incapable of satisfaction. It's evolution's cruelest joke, giving you the intelligence to see all the problems and just enough awareness to know you can't think your way out of most of them. Recognizing your intelligent misery? Subscribe for more brutally honest philosophy. The social isolation. But wait, it gets better. Not only does intelligence make you miserable, it makes you miserable alone. Most conversations feel like you're speaking a different language. While others discuss what happened on reality TV, you're thinking about the psychological manipulation techniques used by the producers. While they argue about politics, you see the deeper systems that make all political arguments essentially meaningless theater. It's not that you think you're better than everyone, it's that your mind processes the world differently, and that difference is isolating in ways that are hard to explain without sounding pretentious. Seneca wrote about this 2,000 years ago. He had everything: wealth, influence, respect, but spent his time writing letters about how lonely it was to think clearly while everyone else lived in comfortable confusion. Even surrounded by people, he felt like he was speaking into a void. The smart person's social life becomes a constant choice: be authentic and alone, or be fake and surrounded by people who don't really know you. Most of us choose a third option: be partially fake and partially alone, which somehow manages to be worse than either extreme. And here's the darkest part. Even when you find other smart people, you often discover that intelligent company just means sharing your misery with someone who understands why you're miserable. It's like a support group for people who are too aware of why support groups exist. You start to realize that connection isn't about finding people who think like you. It's about finding people who can tolerate how you think, and those people are rare. There's also this weird guilt that comes with intelligent loneliness. Society tells you that smart people should be grateful for their gifts, that intelligence is a privilege. So when you feel isolated by your own mind, you also feel guilty for complaining about something that's supposed to be an advantage. It's like being wealthy but depressed. Technically, you have no right to complain, but the money doesn't fix the fundamental emptiness. Except in your case, the wealth is your ability to see through illusions, and the emptiness is everything you see once the illusions are gone. The meaning crisis. Smart people are excellent at deconstructing meaning. We can break down any belief system, poke holes in any philosophy, explain why any pursuit is ultimately pointless. We're like intellectual demolition experts. Give us any cherished belief, and we'll show you exactly why it's built on quicksand. The problem? We're terrible at constructing meaning. It's easier to tear down than to build up. And intelligence gives you very sophisticated demolition tools, but no blueprint for reconstruction. You understand that most of human civilization is built on shared delusions. Money only has value because we agree it does. Relationships only matter because we pretend they're permanent. Success only means something because we've collectively decided to measure arbitrary achievements. But here's the cruel joke. Even knowing these are constructions doesn't free you from needing them. You still need money, relationships, and some sense of accomplishment. You just can't enjoy them anymore because you see through the illusion. It's like being told how a magic trick works right before watching it. You can still appreciate the skill involved, but the wonder is gone forever. Camus called this the absurd, the contradiction between human need for meaning and the universe's indifference to that need. His solution? Embrace the absurdity. Laugh at the cosmic joke while still playing along. Easy to say, harder to do when your brain won't stop explaining why everything you care about is ultimately meaningless. But here's where it gets really twisted. Smart people often become addicted to meaninglessness. There's a perverse comfort in nihilism because it gives you permission to stop trying. If nothing matters, then you can't really fail, can you? Except you can fail, and you do fail, because despite knowing that meaning is constructed, you still crave it. You're like a drug addict who knows exactly how addiction works but can't stop using anyway. It's like being the only sober person at a party. You can see how much fun everyone else is having, but you can't join in because you're too aware of the artificial nature of the experience. And the worst part? You remember what it felt like before you understood too much. The philosophical solution. So what's the solution? Become stupid? Lobotomize yourself into blissful ignorance? Trust me. If there was a way to selectively delete knowledge, half the philosophy majors in the world would have signed up already. Unfortunately, intelligence doesn't come with an off switch. Once you see the matrix, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to believing in Santa Claus once you've found the presents hidden in your parents' closet. But here's what the ancient philosophers figured out, and it's both depressing and liberating. The goal isn't to escape your intelligent misery, it's to find meaning within it. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius didn't try to become happy. They tried to become useful. They found purpose in accepting their role as thoughtful observers of an absurd universe. Marcus literally wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Notice he didn't promise happiness. He promised strength. Nietzsche didn't overcome despair by finding ultimate meaning. He created his own meaning through the act of creating itself. If you can't find a reason to live, he essentially said, invent one. The man was basically the philosophical equivalent of fake it till you make it, except he was faking meaning instead of confidence. The Buddhist approach is even more radical. Accept that suffering is inevitable, especially intellectual suffering, and find peace in that acceptance. They're basically saying, yes, existence is painful. Congratulations, you figured it out. Now what? Here's the thing nobody tells you. Your depression isn't a malfunction. It's a feature of a mind that's evolved to see patterns, including the pattern that most of life doesn't make sense. Your brain is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's just doing it so well that it's making you miserable. The trick isn't to cure your intelligent misery. It's to find a way to make that misery productive. Use your ability to see through illusions to help others who are trapped in them. Turn your overthinking into systematic problem solving. Convert your social isolation into the clarity that comes from observing human behavior from the outside. Think of yourself as a philosophical early warning system. You see the problems coming before everyone else does. That's not a curse, that's a responsibility. And responsibilities, unlike happiness, actually give you something to do with your time. Closing. Your intelligence didn't make you depressed to punish you. It made you depressed to wake you up. Most people sleepwalk through life, comfortable in their illusions, happy in their ignorance. You're awake. That's painful, but it's also powerful. The world needs people who can see clearly, even if seeing clearly hurts. Especially if seeing clearly hurts. Because the alternative isn't happiness, it's collective delusion. Your depression is not a bug in your programming. It's your mind's way of refusing to accept comfortable lies. That's not a character flaw. That's intellectual integrity. You're not broken. You're just operating at a frequency that most people can't hear. And that's exactly why you're needed. The question isn't how to stop being depressed. The question is, what are you going to do with the clarity that that depression gives you? If you've ever felt like your intelligence is more of a burden than a blessing, you're not alone, and you're not broken. Subscribe for more uncomfortable truths about what it means to think clearly in a world full of illusions.